streaming server is latched on and presumably in sync. It is 9:30 and this is pjnet.tv. We're glad you're here, and we are running our bumper. We are recording this and streaming to Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Our chat room is eagerly waiting. Let's begin our countdown to Studio 33 Alpha. Well, good evening and welcome to pjnet.tv for a very special edition tonight of PJNet Live. I am your host, Coach Prasick, and it is my honor and joy to sit here night after night and talk to so many wonderful people. And tonight is normally the night that we would have Michelle Medlock Adams, but Michelle saw something on social media that caught her attention, and she is not the only one that noticed, and Michelle has graciously yielded her time for a guest who is no stranger to pjnet.tv. She is part of the family, and the book cover behind me has kind of clued you in. That would be Starr Ayers, and she's going to be on the big screen right about now. And Starr, good to see you this evening. I know that you have been looking forward to this moment of being on the big screen.
You know that is wrong. You are lying there, guy. But I do appreciate the opportunity. I really do. As much as I hate video, I do appreciate the opportunity to be here and share what's on my heart.
It's a private joke. Before we get into serious stuff, before we get into anger-ridden stuff, indignities and such, just a few days ago, you celebrated your anniversary.
I did. We did.
I didn't have to remind you.
51 years.
51.
51 years on July the 18th. To the same man.
Continuously. Yeah. There's no big deal about being married that long. It's continuously to the same person that is the hitch these days. But we commend you.
Thank you. It's gosh, I can't even believe it's been that long. I don't know where the time went, but it's been great. He's great. I spoke actually at a Rotary Club today, and just told them, you hear the statement that behind every man is a good woman, but this gal right here, she has a good man standing behind her.
The way I heard it was behind every good man is a surprised mother-in-law.
That's probably true too.
Okay, well, Starr, we're glad to show the picture, the cover of your book that has just been a sensation. I was honored to have read that entire book, and I don't normally do that kind of thing. But you're actually working on a
trailer
sequel.
That I love.
Well, I love doing trailers. I really do.
Yeah,
and
it was great. And you better get geared up for the next one.
Well, I can't wait. I understand it's April 5th of 2022. Does that sound right?
April 5th of 2022. I typed the end this last Thursday. I typed the end and submitted it actually yesterday to the publisher. And so in about a month, it'll come right back to me, and she'll be editing it all month, reading it, editing it. Then it'll come back to me, and then those grueling edits will start. And just pray for my eyes, because that's what happened last time, was when I had got the dry eye.
So
issue.
You have an infirmity, I guess, dry eye or something like that.
Yeah, but they're doing good. We're being proactive this time, because I didn't know there was an issue last time. So now that we know there's an issue, I've been treating myself for it for ever since, and so they're holding up really well.
Yeah. I have a treatment. My hands have it's an infirmity of an inflammation that's going to be there, the doctor said, the rest of my life. So twice a day I have to use Vaseline. That's what he told me to use. So just wet your hands with it. So I do that.
Right.
Hey, you just work, you go with the flow. You play the cards you're dealt, and I'm grateful. So you thought that you had about a month to kind of just go,
breathe, Starr, breathe.
So, you take a day off, you go down to the store,
Oh, I just had to go to the store to pick up some paper for my printer.
Hmm.
Just gonna knock around a little bit that day. So, are we gonna go there now? Is
We're,
this my cue?
I pulled the pin on the grenade. Yes, I did.
Okay. So, I needed to go to Staples, and I have been going in this Staples store. I have been a customer of this Staples store for 20 plus years.
Hmm.
And so I just push the little buggy right on in the door, and I don't even get my feet in the door hardly. And there's this display table of books. And I thought, books in Staples? 25 years. I've never seen books in Staples. And so, actually, Michelle is going to die when I say this,
Uh-oh.
but it said, I saw the ABC. And the reason I walked over to
Hmm.
the table, I thought it was Michelle's book because I think she's got one that says ABC on it.
Hmm.
And I thought, is this Michelle's book, And I walk over and there's all these other books, and I can't even tell you what they were because I was so focused on this ABC book. So I pick it up, and it's an ABC of equality. And I'm thinking, that doesn't sound too good. So I just started reading it. And I stood there and read it. The manager even came over at one point and said, "Can I help you?" And I says, "No, I'm fine." And I just kept reading the book. And I was just standing there, just like shaking my head. I mean, I actually could not believe what I was reading. And so this is exactly what came through my mind. I felt like I was reading pornography, child porn. It was just that was just the dirty feeling that just
Hmm.
washed over me
Well,
when
but
I read it.
I have the shots that you took, and before we get there, I wanted to do a critique of the front cover in and of itself. There's some things that struck me, and I could be wrong, but you are in much better a position to tell me. But the title itself is An ABC of Equality. And that struck me as odd because I would expect it to say something like the ABCs of equality.
I know. I know.
Is that a defect?
I don't know. I haven't really thought about it that much, other than it is different, and I don't know why it's different, why it's like that. And ABC, um,
it it
I
seems
really don't
in
know.
error, and of course the images are in the message even on the front cover. We've got a diverse representation of humanity here. We've got a looks like a white female in a pigtail. We've got a white male in a wheelchair being assisted by a black male holding an umbrella, and we've also got what appears to be a dark-skinned Muslim, and then there's a bird. I presume that's supposed to be like a dove of peace. And so the messaging, even before you open the cover, is present. And I don't have a problem with diversity, but I do want to say that I think diversity has been oversold. Diversity, to have merit, would have to be for a common purpose. Okay, there
Yes.
are many diverse parts in an automobile that have nothing to do with one another. A steering wheel and a tie rod end and a radiator cap they are very diverse, but they have a common purpose. But diversity for the sake of diversity, I don't say it's problematic, but it's not meritorious in and by itself, in my
Right.
opinion. And so we're seeing this salesmanship on the front cover celebrating diversity. Well, diversity for what purpose?
Right.
I can
It's
remember.
deception. It's deception from the get-go.
Right, it's
And but like
propaganda.
the first page when you open it up, it deals with disabilities. So there are factual good tidbits in there,
Hmm.
but as you go further into the book, then you get more of the porn, as
Yeah,
far as I'm
it,
concerned.
we're going to peel the layers back starting right now. Once you get to the letter G, it says G is for gender. And then it says be yourself. Now, that's, well, be yourself. Well, who else can you be? You know, you can act like somebody else, but you can't be somebody else. But listen to what it says over here. This is just, it's nauseating. Gender is a category that describes being a boy, a girl, both, neither, and then in parentheses non-binary, and other entities. Well, they start out on the right track. It is a category that describes being a boy or a girl, but then they say both. There are rare instances in the plant kingdom called hermaphroditic, a hermaphrodite that has characteristics of both male and female, but those are exceptions. Those are very rare, and they are certainly not normal. But this book states it as a fact that a boy, a girl, both, neither. That's a lie, Starr. That's a lie. But here's the again. I'm going to be critical from a technical point of view, even though I'm not a writer. Then it includes in parentheses non-binary. What do you think the level of readership of a 5, 6, or 7-year-old? Why are we using words like non-binary?
Well, let me tell you this. This book isn't even for a 5, 6, or 7-year-old. This book on Amazon is, the target audience is 0 to 5 years old. This is a book that you are to read your newborns. And there's actually reviews on Amazon that one lady says, I've been reading this to my newborn and my 4-year-old. I mean, are you serious? It is also in the nonfiction category. Nonfiction. It is lies, pure lies, but it's in the nonfiction category.
On Amazon.
Who is this? You know, on the last page.
We're going to get there. We're going to get
there. Okay. Let's go. You go. You go with your show.
Well, if you want to go to the last page,
No. It is you go.
Okay. All right. So then we turn the page, and I appreciate you taking these images. L is for LGBTQIA. And then under that it says, find the words that make you, you. Okay, find what words? All right, so it says here on the left, LGBTQIA is a short description of a range of identities to describe lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, questioning, intersex, and asexual. It's okay to be whoever you want to be. Again, for thinking of people 5 years and younger, let's talk about lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, intersex, and asexual. Those words...
I don't even know what all those mean.
Well...
No, I do. I kind of do.
Okay. But it describes a short... It's a range of identities. In other words, you are to identify. You know, this is not a behavior. This is not a character. You are to identify, and it's okay to be whoever you want to be. Is anything okay stated that broadly? Is it okay to take whatever you want? Is it okay to do whatever you want? No, there's limits on what's okay. There's no normative standard in this, and again, this is way beyond what a 5-year-old is even capable of cognitively grasping. Let alone, why in the world do we need to be? Let's talk about, you know.
What did Hitler say? Give me your children till they're 5 years old, and I'll give them back to you.
And they show some pictures of, you know, everybody's so happy. You know, you've got two guys holding. Well, I don't think they're holding hands there, but they're clearly together.
They aren't guys.
What are they?
Well, they're its. I
Oh,
mean,
oh yeah.
they're all Z's.
Z's. Yeah, we're going to get into that a little bit further
Yeah.
down the alphabet. But
I mean, how do you know what they are? Really.
well, you can generally look at someone and kind of tell if they're male or female. Usually, within a few seconds. There are a few exceptions.
Yeah, but in
to
her
that.
but in her book, can you?
No.
I mean,
Oh, absolutely not. And it's funny because they're trying to blur the lines of distinction between male and female, and I find that offensive. Offensive personally, as a male.
it's offensive to a lot of people.
And I think it's offensive to females because God made
Exactly.
men out of dust. It's like poof there, okay.
Right.
But then He fashioned. The different word is used in the Genesis account when He formed females. He took more time, and I really appreciate God for doing that. But there is a difference, and it's God ordained. He did it on purpose. And they're
He
just
made
saying
male and
there's no
female,
right.
and he didn't say anything else. He
Yeah,
just said male and female.
right. It's offensive. It really is offensive. Let me. All right, where are we? We got past L. Then you fast forwarded to the S word. I can't believe this is intended for 5-year-olds. S is for sex. Okay. Then the narrative, the sewage on the left says, when a baby arrives, not is born, but arrives, the doctor will say it's a boy or girl, depending on their understanding of the baby's body. This is their sex category. They kind of diminish the role of the doctor here, like the doctor's just taking an educated guess, kinda, based on their understanding. See, that introduces the element of doubt based on their
Right.
understanding of a baby's body. Well, I think all of us have a decent understanding of a baby's body, whether we're a doctor or not. But particularly if you are a doctor, I think that you have a very keen understanding, and I would yield to if there was any doubt, I would yield to the doctor's opinion if I were in doubt. But see, they cast this is an old trick, you know.
Oh, don't we know it?
The,
Genesis 1.
yeah, the serpent said, "Did God really say?" you know,
Exactly.
and this is horrifying.
Tell
I
me. I mean, I've just been churning for a few days now. I told you earlier before we went on. I feel like I've been in a blender for about 3 days now. But yeah, and it's interesting that when I went into the store, I didn't get angry. I wasn't angry when I was reading it. It was just when I think back on it, it was just very different than I would have thought I would have reacted. I wasn't angry. I think what I was feeling was just a deep hurt and a sadness. I was just like, I could not believe my eyes, and I was so sad. And I mean, I just told them, I said, I can't believe that Staples is buying into this. And you've got this in your store. And she said, well, headquarters does this. We don't have any say what goes in the store. It all comes from the home office, And so, I mean, I asked them if they'd read the book. And a lot of the people that were standing there that worked there, they had not read the book. And I noticed when I left the store,
mm-hmm.
or even before I left the store, one of the men employees there went over and he was starting to read the book. He was still reading the book when I went to the car, and I looked in the window. I could see in the window, and then the cashier went over and started reading the book. So a lot of them didn't even know what it was about.
Starr, I'm seeing in the chat room that this book was published in 2019. It's been out there for a while. It's already poisoned.
I thought it was December. I thought it was December 2020.
Well, I'm just reading it from the chat room.
I might be wrong.
It
I'm,
seems it would make more sense December 2020 because that wasn't that long ago. But in any event, I wonder. The manager said, "Well, corporate makes those decisions." Okay, well, I wonder who went to corporate and pulled this scam off. I mean, could you go to corporate and get the love of Emma on display as soon as you walk in?
well, I don't know. No, I couldn't. They're not a bookstore. And so really, I think on my Facebook page, there's a lot of comments on my post. And I think it was one of the men here in town, a friend of mine, who put, Staples doesn't ordinarily carry books. So this was them making a statement. They
Hmm.
were out to make a statement. It's not about selling books. If I go in there with my book, they're not going to want to put my book on the shelf because they are not book salesmen. They are making a statement, and and a lot of people are offended.
Well, and they can't. What they're doing, they can't say, "Oops, that one slipped under the radar." No,
No.
no. This was a choice, like you said. This was a choice, and it.
And they're giving it to schools. And because the manager said, well, the schools that we've given it to have been very happy to get it. And I said, I guess they have. They're on board.
Well, that's troubling.
Yes, they're giving it to the schools.
Okay, all right, because I'm going to get to something later that's tough for anybody, but we'll get to that in a minute. But we can't just sit here and say somebody ought to do something about that. Okay, we can't.
Right.
T is for transgender. You know best who you are. Okay, over on the left, the narrative. Sometimes, the sex given by the doctor at birth might not fit who the person is.
This was the page that really got me.
Yeah, a male baby may have been assigned the boy category. Well, I certainly would hope so. But their gender is that of a girl. Now that's just sewage from hell, or perhaps no gender assignment at all. In other words, what they're trying to do here is blur the distinction, the line between anatomy and your belief system about sexuality, anatomy and sexuality.
Yeah.
To the point that you would deny that you're okay, here, you guys that think you're girls, give birth, give that a try.
So you take your 4 or 5 year old, your 3 year old to preschool and let them be read this book in preschool. And those children come out so confused. They don't even know if they're a boy or a girl anymore. I mean, it's just an abomination. I used to have a hot temper. You ask my husband. I used to have a hot temper, but I have really mellowed out over I'd say the last 20 years. And it takes a lot to make my blood boil, but I'm telling you what, I have been shaking angry over this, just trembling inside. I sat on my couch to do that Facebook post 2 hours after I had been in that store, and my heart was still pumping in my chest. I could feel it. That's when the anger came. The anger didn't come in the store. The anger came. Of course, I let them know that I was very disappointed and upset with them. That I, I was almost speechless. But when I got home, that's when the anger hit. And that's when the Facebook post hit. And it's not been the same since at my house.
Closing in on the end of the alphabet, the letter Z. Z is for Z. Get to know she, he, zer, they, and more. Z, it says, is a way to refer to someone instead of using he or she, because there are lots of different genders. There are lots of ways of describing someone, including he, she, they, z, and more. Well, yeah, there are a lot of ways to describe people. How about damn idiot? This is crazy. you could call someone a bitch. You could call. There's a lot. You're a moron. There's a lot. But again, they treat sexuality no different than a casual reference to quote who you are. No.
Yeah.
No.
Well, and what I had to do, that where it says Zir, Z-I-R, I mean, I knew it said Z-E, and I knew what that meant. But then it came down there and it said Zir. And I thought, I don't know what Zir is. So I went to our dictionary, online dictionary, Webster's. It didn't have a Zir. And then I went to something else and it didn't have a Zir. And I thought, well, what is Zir? And so then I went to Google. I just Googled it. And this is what came up. This is Zir. It's a third person singular pronoun used instead of him or her to refer to a person of unspecified or non-binary gender previously mentioned or easily identified. For example, I handed it to Zir. So we're Zirs. We're all Z's. We're neither male nor female. We're Z's. Don't you feel better now about yourself?
Yeah. There are personality characteristics that are broadly ascribed to males and females. Little boys play with their soldier toys, and little girls play with Barbies. Okay, if there's a girl that wants to, play football or play with guns or things like that, that doesn't disturb me, and that doesn't cause me concern.
My Ashley wanted the football helmet. She wanted to be the football player. Yeah. She didn't care anything about being a cheerleader. Jennifer was the cheerleader,
If a guy wants to take up home economics or knitting or sewing or some other typically feminine things, that's not a problem. But when you start, you're still a guy.
Absolutely.
You're still a girl.
Yes.
And there's no getting around it. You alluded to this earlier, so let me give you the microphone. The authors are not hiding. They are in plain sight. I can't pronounce. Shauna.
Yeah,
Janelle,
I really
Ewing.
don't. And I would say Shauna, but it's Chana. I don't even like to give her name on the air, but it's Shauna Janelle Ewing. And the other girl is from Chile, I think, and I don't even. God,
she's from a lot of places. She started in Chile.
And she's the artist, and so I don't really know how much she buys into this. She was paid to do this job, but who knows? I don't know her. I don't know anything about her. She didn't write the book, but she has just as big a role to play in it. She worked mighty hard on those illustrations.
I would have declined it if I were an illustrator.
Yes, but we don't live in that kind of society anymore. Mark, I know we're running close on time, but I've just got to tell you this. I went on Amazon, and this book has 598 global ratings. Okay, now this makes a big statement about society. 598 global ratings, 84% of them are 5-star. 12%, 4% are 1-star, and I was one of them. And 3 people on my post thing have done Amazon reviews. And then the other 12% lies in the 2, 3, and 4 range. So this is a statement about our society that is so disturbing that 84% of these reviews would give this book a 5-star rating, read it to their newborns and their preschoolers.
Okay. Let me get back to that, but before I take this image off the screen, it says the author is a storyteller. Well, no kidding. Okay, she wrote a book. Okay, but then it says this. Then it said, well, storytellers can tell lies. I respect her right to.
But it's nonfiction.
Oh,
if she had said the book was fiction, that would be one thing. She's saying it's nonfiction. It's a lie.
The next word gives it away. she's a storyteller, comma.
So sorry.
You've already upset somebody. Or maybe not. Maybe they're sending money to your PayPal. It says she's a storyteller, comma, strategist. Oh, strategist. Wait a minute. We're not just telling stories now, are we? An entrepreneur who galvanizes communities of color. But only of color. She's not concerned about communities that are suffering unless they're of color. Young people, oh, very young, I can see, and women. Oh, wait a minute, women, that's a gender. Why is that in there? To make cultural dents that move society forward. Folks, I'm committing to do this. I am going to pray for this woman because she is beyond help from anybody short of the grace and mercy of God.
Can I just read you something that I think is important here?
Please do.
Luke 17:2 says, "It would be better for him if a millstone were hung around his neck and he were thrown into the sea than that he would cause one of these little ones to stumble." I wouldn't want to be walking in her shoes.
Well, she will answer for her crimes. Maybe not in this world, but in the
and you know, I was thinking about this before we came on too, and you know, the answer is not ridding society of this evil, because yeah, we want to get rid of as much as we can, but man is innately sinful. We're never going to be able to rid society of all evil. As a matter of fact, God's word tells us the closer we get to his return, the more evil it's going to become. So it's a snowball, and we can't stay ahead of it. But so as believers, the goal here is not to get the evil out of the society, but to get Jesus into the hearts of the people. That's what we're here to do. To shine a light on the evil, and, to expose the evil. But yeah,
well, I'm glad you brought that up because and hopefully this has been a beam of light on evil that has penetrated the front entrance of corporate America. When you walk in the store, you're immediately confronted with this sewage, this propaganda. That's evil. Not only is it evil, evil, it used to be that people were ashamed of that. But now it's being celebrated.
There's no shame.
No shame.
There's no shame. There's no shame anymore about anything really. Is there?
Anything. No. It's now, let me ask you a question, and I mean, this is tough, but we see these kind of things, and we're outraged, and we should be, because God's word says that we should be angry about the things that anger God, not because we got our feelings hurt. Okay,
right.
Most people are angry
righteous anger.
Right, this is righteous indignation, and so you put this out on Facebook, and immediately people started piling on, and I have spent many years trying to persuade people we've got to get beyond, that's bad and somebody ought to do something about that, to over my dead body. Have you given any thought, or have you been given any encouragement? Where do we go from here?
Well, I don't know, other than just to be in prayer about it for yourself personally, because it's going to be different, I think, for each and every person. But we need to make our voices heard, I think, and to be fair, it's not just Staples, it's Walmart, it's Barnes and Noble, it's Target. They're all selling this book, and there's more. And you can go on my Facebook page and on this thread, and on that post I've got a link to some of the places that are carrying it. I've also got a link to to headquarters of Staples.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, some people are talking about boycotts. I don't know how well boycotts work. Um, Maybe for a brief time. It's hard for people to stick to boycotts, especially when it starts being everywhere. Then where
Mm-hmm.
are you going to go shop?
Well, and
It's
boycotts
getting so
affect people.
widespread.
The corporate CEOs that made this decision, they're not going to be impacted that much by your
Right.
boycott, but the individuals that work at the store could be.
Right. So that's something that each person really has to pray about. I mean, I know I won't go into Staples for a long time, but I'm not saying I'll never buy anything from Staples again. I can't say that,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think they'll see me in their store for a while. I don't think they might bar the door if I tried to come in at this point. I don't know. I mean, we've got people in our town talking about picketing them, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know.
I think some form of civil dissent, of peaceful protest would be an appropriate measure, and appreciate you providing information where people can communicate with those that make decisions or are in decision-making capacities. But it's really tough, folks, because many of you, I mean, I'm kind of reading the chat, and I can tell that there's just outrage out there, and it's right. But if you think that being outraged is going to change this, you are sadly mistaken. Okay,
That's right. That's
somewhere
what I'm
somebody's
saying.
got to stand up and say no more. You got to draw a line somewhere somehow.
Right. You've got to you've got to pray about and see what is it that God would have you to do in this situation. I did not opt for this. I did not, this has come totally unsolicited. I just wanted my paper and I wanted to go home. But God has told me that this is what I'm to do right now. And I think that's what everybody needs to find for themselves, is what is it that God is asking you to do? What little something can you do to make a difference in this situation, and follow through with it.
Well, and there's the other side of the coin that I have long advocated. It's one thing to be against this, but what about all the Christian children's book writers? Folks, let's encourage them. Let's put some weight on the other side of the scales. Let's fire back. Let's not just run and retreat, yelling and screaming how bad the enemy is. Folks, God has told us, to make disciples. And folks,
Yes.
as you can tell, the enemy has similar instructions. They're making
Yes.
disciples, and they are highly motivated. They are well funded, and they are, in fact, very competent. So the battle
Yes.
lines are drawn. Folks, let's go out and support authors that are producing decent material,
Yes.
material that glorifies God. It's not enough just to be against something. Let's be for something.
Yes. Yes. And God's light shines brighter. I mean, we've just got to be tapped into God and just allow Him to work through us. That we can't do it in and of ourselves. But when we rely on Him, just like this will happen.
Mm-hmm.
He will give you that Holy Ghost chutzpah that you need.
Starr, I know that you didn't sign up for this. I know that this
No, I
was
didn't.
not easy. I know this is not your general modus operandi.
I want
But
to go back to writing books.
I applaud you for taking a stand, and there are so many that have done likewise, applauding you. And you are a very special person, and I think God has put you in this place at this time for this purpose. And let's just hand it to God and get prayed up and get our battle implements ready, because we are at war and our enemy
Yes,
is on the
we are.
march. And I
We
really
are.
appreciate you sharing, Starr. We love you, hon.
And thank you, Mark, for giving me the platform.
Glad to
I
do it, hon.
appreciate you a lot.
Always. Thank you so much, Starr. Folks, there is the scene high atop the Eagle's Nest, the broadcast facilities here at pjnet.tv. What a powerful night it has been. Thank you to all of you who have joined us in the pjnet.tv chat room. I can't wait to read the chat. And if you are a first-time guest here at PJNet, we welcome you, and we hope that you will visit us again when you can. We do this Monday through Thursday. We have special programming on Friday night, and we'd like you to be a part of the best-kept secret on the internet. Okay, and you're there. Before I leave, now more than ever, those of you who are regular know what I'm about to say. But tonight it is particularly germane because it has been something that's changed my life, and I hope that it will help change yours in a positive way. It's a challenge. It's in the form of 2 questions, and here's the first one. What is the boldest thing you have ever done for Jesus Christ? And the follow-up question is, well, how long ago was that? Folks, if what you have just witnessed doesn't alarm you, you need to see a doctor. Folks, to fight this is going to take some courage. So I hope, and I will pray, that none of us will ever be satisfied with our answers to either of those 2 questions.